Take me to another place where the fairy tales don't end. Magical, magical land. Magical, magical land. To another place where the fairy tales don't end. Magical, magical land.
Today's guest is the CEO of Ogun, which is a software company around construction site and installation management. He was the former head of innovation at the Celsa Group, which is the largest Spanish-owned steel company and the second largest European long product producer. He's an innovator by heart. Please welcome to the show, Ignasi Salvador. Welcome to the show. Hello, Ignasi.
Hi, hello, Jens.
Great to have you with me. So before we dive into all your exciting entrepreneurship and innovation topics, who are you? Tell us a bit about your story.
Well, I'm Ignasi Salvador. I'm a civil engineer in Spain who actually started working on a company that was doing engineering. And then I had the opportunity to found my own company. We started a company. I was 25, very young, but it was the first experience. It was quite exciting. And then I did an MBA, moved to Denmark, worked in Denmark for 5 years, came back, joined a large corporation as a head of innovation, worked there for 3-4 years. And then 2 years ago, I moved from there and started my own business again, now in the software arena related to the construction. So I would say I'm a guy that started with with the first business quite young, and then have experienced a bit of a large corporation, but I still have this thing inside now of creating new things, and that's why I actually moved.
Yeah. So you're grown up in Spain and lived in Denmark. Where else did you live on your journey?
Well, actually, even within Spain, I moved quite a lot. When I explain my story, I always say the same. I learned very, very young that the people that you meet in life, they just move, and you just have to, enjoy your time when you are with them, because they're not going to be there forever. Actually, when I was 2 years, we moved to Venezuela in South America because my father was working there. We were there for a couple of years, and then we came back to Barcelona. Then I moved to Burgos, which is another city in Spain. And I was there until I was 8 years. So at 8 years, I again had to switch my colleagues from school, came back to Barcelona. So I've been always moving around. And then I lived in Madrid for some years and came back. With my wife, we always say after 4 or 5 years, we get tired of what we're doing. We cannot stay in the same place. So we just like to change. And we're always thinking, which is the next place, no? And so we always we go somewhere, we enjoy the time that we are there, we meet great people, we keep, those connections, but we get tired of doing the same thing. Routine is something that doesn't go with us.
So then you said, like, you're an engineer like I am. What brought you from being an engineer to go towards business and doing an MBA, for example?
Well, that's very funny because I would say there's a lot of engineers that end up doing MBAs. I think I did engineering because I wanted to challenge myself. I wanted to do something tough, and I said, I can do it. It was something like, I want to try myself to see if I'm able to do it, right? So I did civil engineering. I enjoyed it. But then, when we founded the company, actually I started thinking that I wanted to learn a little bit more how to run a company. And then I started the MBA. And for me, it was like, it was mind blowing. It was just like, wait, it's not about technique. It's about running a business. It's about all the other stuff that goes around that. Yeah. And from that moment on, I just said, well, I'm not interested in technical things anymore. No, I enjoy building things. I enjoy creating things. I enjoy challenging myself. In terms of, is this possible? Which is the best solution to make it work? But it's not. I like other things also. So that's why I did the MBA, and actually found out that I think it's like 25% of the people in the class were actually engineers also. So right. I think it's a very, very normal path, even if when I was at the university, some people were telling me, you will end up doing an MBA. And I said, no, I will never do that. But then the years went by and I said, yeah, and then it was great. It was really, really, really good.
Yeah. So then you have been you moved from a smaller business into a large corporation. How was that?
Well, at first I got surprised about the amount of people and the amount of different functions that were there. Even if I was in a small business at the beginning, after 2 or 3 years, we sold it into a business group. So I became part of a larger group, even if I was in a smaller company, but part of a larger group. And that already gave me this opportunity of having meetings with other business units and starting to understand the ecosystem of a large corporation. Now, when I came back to Barcelona and I joined Celsa, I was in the headquarters, so it was a different situation. I was not in one business unit. I was at the headquarters, and from there I could see the whole constellation. Right. Mm-hmm. I felt that, well, there were many things that could be done because you had the strength of a large corporation, but there was a lot of inertia on how the things were running. No? Mm. And then getting into the different business units, you also know that the things that happen on a business unit need to be really aligned with the objectives of that specific business unit. So you had to have a lot of politics, and that's something. I mean, I like talking to people, and I like to to get along with the different people and influence. So it was, well, I just realized that the corporation itself has a lot of strengths, but there's also a lot of there are too many agendas. That's I would say. On a small organization, there is like one direction, and it's easier that everybody agrees on that and that you want to do that. But on a corporation, there are like inputs, these metrics that you always have, like business units and functions, and then you have somebody reporting at 2 different bosses, and who is the one that really decides what you need to be doing. Plus, at the end, each person also wants to build their path into that ecosystem. Yeah. And when you put all that together, you really need to read what's going on before you start doing things. No, if you want to move something, you need to understand who needs to release that lever or who needs to push that to actually make those things happen. And sometimes it's not a direct answer. You need to go through other paths to actually make the right influence, because that somebody will react depending on who says who's providing the message. So you need to make sure that the message is provided by the right person and at the right time. No?
So then you said one day, and I still remember it. Like we have been in one of our like bi-monthly calls where we connected with the others as well, and then you just mentioned like, yeah, and by the way, I will go into the startup life again, and all of us like what's going on? So how did you decide that?
Yeah, well, the startup, I mean, actually, the idea started in the corporation when we were there. And, I was at the point where it was like, okay, should I stay in the corporation and push things? Because we're doing, I mean, well, I don't know if we'll get later into that, but we're doing quite amazing things in the corporation and a lot of projects, and you were touching many, many things. Now, the problem there is that for things to move forward, they didn't depend on me. And you were pushing too many things, so you were not focusing on anything specific. And there was this clash between short-term objectives and the innovation objectives that you had, which made some projects that you thought that could move forward, they were really not moving forward because of the things which happen in the corporation, which are many, many things. So that was one thing. Then we had this idea that was already prototyped, and we were getting some good feedback. And I was just giving the opportunity of, okay, you might want to jump there and push it. And I said, well, I'm going to do that because I will have, things will depend on our team. I will have a team focus on push this forward. And I think it's something that I want to do now. So I just said, I was not too tied to the, I would say, to the title and to the life of corporation. I would say there was actually a lot of people very surprised that I did this move because the position I had in the corporation was quite stable, and I mean it was pretty. But as I told you, I've been moving all my life through different things, and I just felt it was the right move for myself. Also to challenge myself, it was for me a challenge, to say, okay, I'm gonna get back there, and I'm gonna show myself, and I'm gonna show everybody that we can push this forward and make things happen.
Yeah. And that was similar to my story, where it's like a lot of people who are not directly involved in what you're doing, they don't understand why the hell are you stepping out of a large corporation where you have a safe haven. Like you need to work hard, but it's completely different ways of working than towards a smaller organization, or specifically when it's a like startup business or your own business. So how do you see now the world as an entrepreneur? What has changed for you and for your family?
Well, first thing I felt is, and I had to admit that it was something I had forgotten, because I already went through that, but then over years, I got to see that life outside corporations is tough. It's very tough. There are no safety nets, so it's not. In large corporations, you can make a mistake, and okay, it will cost some euros to the organization, but that's it. Now in here, you are always into this point of is this taking off? Is this not taking off? Which decisions that you take have a bigger impact on your organization. So this is something that was like the first thing I remind myself. Now on the other side, there is this great feeling of I am setting up my own path. I am creating something for myself and for my team, and we are deciding what is going to be done. And the decisions can be taken quite quickly. It's not like I think this would be good, but I need to wait for the next corporate meeting, which is in a month and a half, and this is going to happen in there. But this guy is going to come. But okay, how am I going to do that to make the influence? And right after that, that guy will probably talk to the other guy. So I better talk to that guy before, so he has the right information. And then maybe in 2 or 3 weeks, I will get a feedback. The information. This in here is like, okay, this is not working. We need to change. What do we want to do? Okay, we can do this, and this. Okay, who can I talk to that can actually give me, a better or a different view on that? Okay, I probably need to talk to that guy and that guy. You give a couple of phone calls. Yeah. In a couple of days, you have information you wanted to have to take the decision. You can decide and you can execute, and then you see things are moving. You're moving at a super fast. No, I always like to joke that when I was in the corporation, the innovation department was very quick at moving. We were actually too quick for some of for the processes in the corporate to move, and we actually were allowed to do some things because of the innovation. But still, we were very slow compared to where we are right now. Right now we are so much faster in many things, and this is the way I am. This is very, very satisfying. It's very rewarding because I like, sometimes I say, and I think it happens to many of us, our mind goes much faster than our hands. So you want to see that your hands follow, right? And when you take one step, you say, I'm going to do that, then you want to see that thing happening so you can see the effect, and then you can take the next decision. And in this configuration, these things are happening every week because things follow, right?
So, what is the setup with Ogun right now for you? Like, how many people are working with you? What are you offering to the market?
Yeah. Okay. Well, we are a small team. We are 5 people right now, working remotely because of COVID. Well, we started because of COVID-19, but then we realized that we could work remotely every single day. So that's the way we are operating right now. And well, what we have is a platform, an app for people working in the construction industry and installation, which actually helps them organize better their work and be better coordinated. Right now, they're using basically WhatsApp, most of them, and what we're saying is trying to bring a bit more organized information, not just having everything on one pot, right? And it's a little bit tricky because we need to, the product needs to be simple enough for them to use and quick, so they don't need to learn how to use it, but also provide some organization. And that's what we are offering right now. And well, I would say that we start to have we have already like 15,000 downloads of the app, and more people using it every day. Of course, we always wanted to be quicker and have more people. But well, we're starting to see that the product starts to be after 2 years, because we did, we started with a large organization with a product that didn't work. We had to cut it down. We had to rethink, throw the whole code again to the bin, start again. So we pivoted several times. But now we have something which is, I would say, stable enough to actually start getting more and more users, and that's how we operate in terms of daily work. It's pretty easy because we have a daily phone call, half an hour, to see where we are, and that's pretty much it. Because out of the 5, we have 3 developers, and the developers are just coding and doing their amazing thing, because they make things happen. And then we are all the time connecting with users, trying to understand how they are using the product, which things we thought were going to work and they are not working, so we can tweak them. And we try every single 2 weeks to make a new release with small changes. And it's always the same thing. I think the key here is to improve small things one at a time. Improve things one at a time. And by doing that small improvement, you get to really, you get the users to really use the app more and more. Because there are some stupid things that when you design, you think this is going to work, and then you just get into the hands of the users and they just don't use it for anything. No, I remember when we started, we started with the mobile app. Now we have mobile app and we have the desktop. Now, one of the things we did is that in the app you could do everything. So basically, it had a lot of options. Now, when we did the web version, which we decided to do it later, and that's one of the things that we decided at the very beginning. For this to work, the app needs to work, because that's something that people use at the field. So let's forget about the web for now. Let's just concentrate on making something that works at site. Okay, we did the app, but it needed to have all the possibilities. Now, then when we saw that was working, we decided, okay, now it's the time to build the web version. Then we created the web version. And right after, what we've done is just take out all the things that you could do on the app that actually you didn't need to have in the app, because now you can do them on the web. And that actually turned out that now the app is much simpler than it was before, and therefore is being more used than it was before. Okay, but we could not. But the thing here is, we could have started building the whole thing, web and app. But the problem there is that we didn't know if this was going to catch up. So we said, it doesn't make sense to spend the time on building a full system if you don't know if the basic is going to work. So when we built the app, we already knew that we were going to have to remove things later on. But well, that was I would say that was our prototype, to make sure that would work. So it's been quite a journey on how to build, how to get. It's always try to build something where you can learn what the users are doing, so you can refine what you're doing, and don't have don't bother too much about where you're going to be next year. We are not. That's another thing I would say. When you were telling me what you've learned, one of the things I now it's super clear for me. Anything that goes beyond 4 to 8 weeks ahead, it's just. I mean, you can put in paper whatever. You can say we will sell 1 million, we will sell 100, or we will turn into a huge whatever. It doesn't. You don't know. Actually, I don't know. So I'm just focusing on 4 to 8 weeks. And I expand that window every 2 weeks. I say, okay, now what's going to be next, no? And of course, I have I have like that light where I want to be in 3-4 years, whatever.
Yeah.
It's just to guide me, but that's it. I don't know how I'm going to get there. I'm just going to, do one step at a time.
That's brilliant. I'm coaching a lot of people with these topics, and I always say to them, don't focus specifically when they come from a large corporation like we both came. You're used to, we have 5 years plan, even sometimes 10 years plans, and it's basically you put something out where you think it will happen, and that's what you believe in, and you build like detailed measures on how you will all do that. But in the end, it's not working. Specifically when it's a multinational or international company where you need to convince so many people on all these different topics that it's not relevant for the next 8 weeks or 3 months. I'm always saying like maximum 3 months. That's the utmost you can do. Specifically when you're still in phases of iterating your business every day, where some businesses are already further where it's basically just plugging in and slowly developing it forward. But I still say just focusing on your customers, on your clients, on how you can provide value right now, and take it to the next step. Instead of saying, we are now planning to do this the next 5 months. And then after a month, you're figuring out, or a couple of people in your team are saying, no, it's not working anymore. But you're saying, no, but we have said we will do it. And you're just pushing in that direction because you said you do it.
No, that's one of the things that I've been caught there several times, and I've already learned that that's not working. Now, for example, one example of that, and it has happened already to us during the last 3 months. You release something new, just a small feature. I say, well, I'm going to release this and this and this in the following 3 months. So I want to release these 3 features in the next 3 months. Great. You release the first one. And then you start working on the second one, but in the meantime, there are some things that need to be refined on the first one. So we have already learned that, and now we are better at planning, because we know that when we release something, the next 2 weeks it's about refining some of the things. They're just small things, but we're always trying to make sure that what we have is solid enough so we can build something on top. Because if you build like one 50% feature, another 50% feature, another 50% feature, then it starts, it starts moving too much. So there are always like 1-2 weeks where we say, okay, now we are just getting back to what we did and refining that, make that feature really fit with the other things, so the design is the same, or whatever, or we have missed here. Now, for example, one example on our app, most of our users use it to upload photos related to the different tasks that they are doing, and then just to report. And they have their photos organized per task, and they know which ones are done, and so on. Okay. Now you can download those photos from the system one by one, but some of them said, we have so many that I would like to take them all together. We did an export, which actually allows you to export the whole project. So you get all this, and they say, no, but we want to select like these 5 photos. I would like to download those 5 just in one. Okay, this is something small to do, but it's so critical for where we are right now that we just said, we wanted to do something else right now, but let's focus on this week. And that's what we're doing this week. We're just getting that clear. So we know that because what we want is that any user that comes in, we don't get any other that says, oh, that's great, but I'm missing that. We have heard that so many times that it's just like, okay, let's get it done. That's it. No? We move to the next one. So yes, being caught by your own plans is a stupid. It happens. It has happened to us several times, but it's so stupid because you're just doing that because you don't want to admit that your plan was wrong.
Exactly.
Then the best thing you could say is, okay, I cannot plan more than 4 to 8 weeks. I can have, but I'm not going to commit to anything farther than that, because otherwise I'm sure there will come something in the way that I will have to switch my plans on.
Yeah, specifically on the details, like you said, you can have something like a North Star perspective, like a vision perspective, which gives you a direction. but it's not in all details. And that's I do exactly the same. And that was so hard for me coming from the large corporation to do that and learn it. So I did it wrong. Like I started with a 5-year plan in my business. Like, yeah, let's do it. And then you figure out, like, after a day, you can basically put it in the basket. It doesn't work.
Yeah. But you know what? One of the toughest things I find right now being on a startup with that mindset that we are just talking about is how you speak to new investors.
Yeah.
Because, you know, they want to see something in 3-5 years. And in paper, you can put many things, right? Now, when I'm talking to them, I'm always telling, look, this is when I translate our vision into paper, that's what I can see. But what I'm sure about is what we're going to do in the next 4 to 8 weeks.
Yeah.
I am not sure how I'm going to get there. And most probably next year, those numbers will not be correct. Now, but this is you know, some investors, they just say this is not how we want to work. This is not acceptable for us, no. And some others, and I think it has to do with what you were saying. It depends on how developed your business is, in a sense that probably in 2-3 years from now, we will be more able to say this is our 3 years plan, because then it's more about, I have already validated completely my product. I know exactly how I'm getting the money. I know what works and what doesn't work, and now it's a matter of scale. And I would say when you get into the stage of scaling, then you can rely more into those type of forecasts. And I guess that's what happens in corporations. You have a stable business, or you have so you can really say, oh, there has been a deviation of 3%. Right? That's for us, a deviation of 3%. I mean, we count it in 20%, no, 20, 40. That's the thing that you're working with. So.
No, I agree. I think it's when you, for example, when you have a product that's working in one country and you open another country, which is, let's say, similar structure, similar needs of the people, then you can basically say, okay, we have done this, so we can base our way of thinking on that numbers and kind of extrapolate to figure out if that's really working or not. But it's still validating it on the way. So we're talking already a lot of innovation content, even if we keep it under the umbrella of entrepreneurship. So what is innovation for you?
Well, for me, innovation, I like to define it as a way to attack a problem on a way that has not been done before, and use your knowledge and the connections that you can get. I mean, get the resources that you have at hand to attack something where the solution is not clear. So basically, if we talk about the problem space and the solution space, you either have a clear problem that you want to solve, but you don't know how to solve it, or, which is more tricky, you have a solution and you're trying to find which problem that solution can solve, right? Which is I would say, two different things. I would say that's the basics. Then there is, and not for me, there is another type of innovation, which is even, for me, it's more interesting. Is actually when you don't even know which is the problem and you don't even know which is the solution. So you go out there and you try to identify problems. And once you have the problem well defined, then you start thinking on which is the solution. No? So you have all this part of research and understanding of and empathizing with situation, and try to identify which type of things could be solved. No, but basically it's uncertainty. I mean, it's trying to solve something on where you cannot refer to past experiences. As you were saying, if you're opening a new country and you have already done that before, well, this is just
development.
Development. But when you are trying to solve something that has not done before, this is innovation for me.
Yeah, that's cool. So from an innovation perspective, You have now the two extremes, like working in a more startup in a smaller company and working in a large corporation. What is the difference of innovating in both of these companies or company levels?
Well, in large corporations, I mean, first of all, is the resources that you have at hand. So in large corporations, you can leverage much more money and more people around you, and so you have more resources to do what you want to do. Whereas in the startup, you don't have that. In terms of the speed, you are, we were talking before, you are much faster in the startup mode than you are in the corporation. When I was in the corporation, one of the things we were pitching to the startups that we were working with is, if you come and work with us, you have a feel. I mean, you will be able to try your product in places that you would never have access to.
Yeah.
So apart from the resources that you can pull together to do specific projects, you as a corporation, what you have is a set of assets that are really valuable for some people out there to try out.
Yeah.
And a marginal gain in a corporation can mean millions. So if you are able to optimize a production process by 3% or 5%, that could really mean a lot of money. So so I would say that's the approach I was having when being in the corporation. Is that you need to understand. So it's tougher on the sense that you are not as quick as you would be on the other side, but you have things that the other guys don't have. In the startup. And then in the innovating in the startup world, there is a great benefit is that you don't have any debt on technical or organizational debt. So you're starting with a clean paper. So you can basically start the best way you can think of. You don't have those restrictions like, I would like to do it this way, but because of the organization, I cannot do it. In a startup, it's like, okay, we want to build that. Okay, which is the best-in-class solution to solve that today? Because there are some things, when you have built something for 3 years, then you basically, there might be some things out there that you will not use because you rely still on some things you built 3 years ago and you cannot crack that. So when you start, you say, okay, how can we do that the quickest way? No, let's do this and this and this, and then you can just get out there very quickly with something which is a little bit clunky, but that helps you learn if what you're trying to do makes sense or not.
Yeah.
So I would say those are the two differences, and I think there is room for both things, but the important thing I would say is to really understand which are your limits on both situations. So you don't try to do something which or it's very likely not to succeed. No.
Yeah. But what are the points where you struggled most with in a large corporation setting from an innovation perspective?
Well, first of all, cultural change. So working, make the organization understand that in innovation you can fail, whereas in normal business you can't.
And you should fail.
You should fail. Yeah, and it's the same guy. It's the same guy that is. That's the tough thing, because for that guy on his daily work, he's like, there is a process. I need to follow the process. Now, when you take that guy and say, no, now we're going to do innovation, he's like, yeah, well, where is the process? Am I able to? No, yes, try it and let's see. Yeah, but what if? No, well, what if? It doesn't matter. That's how it works. It's the best way. We need to learn very quick if this is working or not, because we either kill it or we just double it, right?
Yeah.
I would say that was one of the toughest parts. What we did there is that we built an internal training program, which basically we achieved to have some people in different departments that really understood the thing, and then the effect was huge on the sense that if those guys get it, when they get back to work into their daily work, they start to get that mindset for specific things. Of course, not for daily work, but for some specific things, they are already thinking on what if we try that? What if we and that? But I would say that was one of the toughest things. And then the other thing is the priorities. It's not just that they dare to take some risks; it's also that they are valued for doing those, for trying them out, and that doesn't clash with their objectives. Because at the end of the day, time is limited. That's in here. The feeling I had there is that I was fighting against. I was trying to get time from people. That's basically the resource that I was fighting for, and nobody can give you that. Even if there is a direction says, yeah, this is important. But one thing is to say this is important. The other thing is what do they measure? No?
So did you have specific metrics for innovation which are on company level, which you are able to share?
Well, yes. What we were measuring is how many of the projects that we were starting through this program that we had as because we had an entrepreneur program and we had a program with startups. Now, with each of them, we were starting projects, but then we were measuring how many of those were still alive a year after.
Yeah.
Very basic, but it gives you it's a mix between, is this a good idea? Have we been able to convince people that it makes sense to work on this? And then what has it happened with this project once it's plugged into a business unit? That because if it's under the innovation team, then you still can protect it somehow. When you just plug it into the business unit, then you just see, okay, is this alive or not? And that's one of the things we were measuring, and then we were also measuring the engagement. So the ideas that were coming from people that went through those programs after they have completed the program. So 1 year after, how many of the 100 people that got into that were still connected with us voluntarily and were pushing some projects into their business units and were actually bringing new ideas to share. No? We created like a community, kind of a alumni thing. And you could see is this still alive or not? No? And you could see there were some people who really were like very active there and trying to connect to others, and well, that's the kind of thing we're measuring. Apart from, of course, which were the gains that we were providing to the business in terms of money, no, or savings, or new sales, or whatever, depending on the type of project, of course.
Yeah, that's something. It's always like one thing is focusing on the culture, which will be a long-term perspective, shifting the business to be more innovative, and the other part is how do you contribute with innovation towards your business goals or the business goals of the total company, that you can show, hey, we're part of your success.
Yeah.
It's how does it look like from a startup perspective now? Do you have specific metrics which are focused on innovation, or is all purely business focused?
In our case, it's basically business. It's basically business what we have now, because I would say, for example, what is one of the main challenges we have now is how we turn our users which are not techie, let's say, to actually start using a solution, which is a technical solution that is helping them to organize their work better. Right? I like to say that if I was competing with a system which is already in place, I would have to convince my users that my system is better than the other system.
Yeah.
But we would already have a system that they are used to either track tasks or mark things are completed or something. Right now, it's a lot of cultural change we are also doing here. Yeah. How do you convince somebody to get into the routine of following up their tasks and getting into this systematic thing? No? And that's right now, that's basically what we are measuring, is how many of the users that coming with us stay with us after a couple months. No? And that's the number we are focusing on. It's not, you could say it's an innovation because somehow it's not yet clear how to solve this. But it's funny because I'm right now reading a lot about behavioral economics and all this kind of stuff because it's tough to change how people behave. And change their routines. No, like it's like when you join a gym or a diet or whatever you want to do, and you say, "I'm going to do that," and then after a couple of weeks, you just, "I will skip today," and then then it's gone. And so, how do we create a system that actually helps you be on top of what you need to be doing, no? And that you can see that by doing that, you are getting better and better, so you can actually keep doing it, no?
So it's quite interesting. You just basically explained, in a large corporation, there's an innovation department or structure which is supporting the company to be more innovative. And in a smaller corporation or in a smaller startup perspective, it's basically all about how do you innovate your business every day, because it's your business that needs to move on. So why do you think a large corporation needs an innovation department or something which is connected to innovation?
Well, because I think once you start growing the organization, you start hiring people for specific tasks, and their view tends to be limited to those tasks. So it's difficult to have a wider view of where you want to bring the business to, and which is the next step in terms of innovation for your company. And whereas on a small organization, we all do a lot of things, and we are always thinking on how is this going to move. So you still have everybody feels that is part of the decision team that is trying to figure out which are the next steps. Whereas on a large organization, we have a guy in a department. I need to sell. That's what I'm doing. I need to produce. That's what I'm doing. And then how do you take that and shake it, right? So I think the innovation teams that have been during the last years being created in so many organizations, I think they're basically a team of people to shake the organization and make everybody look up and say, okay, are we where we want to be? Where will we be in the future? And this is something we need to work all together. It's not just the top management that needs to decide things. It's about people looking outside and seeing what's going on outside, and those things will influence our business, right?
Yeah. So if you could think of there is one innovation topic which you can bring out into the whole world. So for example, if we compare, I'm on my mission where I want to reach 1 million people to empower them to innovate in 2021. And it's now, today is the 5th of January. So how would you take something like innovation towards the mass to a lot of people? How would you explain that the benefit of innovation to a lot of people?
Well, I would say that if you do innovation, you will actually find spots to do new things that you were not aware of. So you need to really step back on your day-to-day and look outside and reconsider how you can change what you're doing to become, to look at the next step. So the dynamics right now are moving very quick, and we can see with COVID-19 things are moving extremely fast. So you need to be prepared to be where you want to be next year. You need today to reconsider what you're doing and not have the fear of changing things. Because we know also that most of the times, and I actually agree a lot with what I'm going to say right now, is that innovation comes when people are under pressure, when you have problems, when you need to, because there is no other way. You either innovate or you die, and then the innovation comes. Now the tough part is how do you innovate when you are not at that situation? Because if you would be against the wall, you have no other option. You innovate or you die. Okay, then you innovate. But and that's the main problem of incumbents, right? That they have a good position and then they don't feel they need to change because things are going pretty well. So why should I change? And that's what that's what is tougher is innovate when things are running well, right?
Yeah. Slowly getting to an end. And you mentioned it already. It's like even that you're not really thinking about what is happening in a year from now, but where do you think you will be as a person, and in which state you will be in a year from now?
Well, I feel that I would still be exploring new things and trying out new things. I love the situation right now with COVID of working from home and being close to the family. I think it's something that people have learned, and also for me, it's been in the past, I've traveled so much when I was in the different places, in Denmark and in Spain before. And right now, I would like to keep as I am right now, which is basically being close to the family. I also like traveling, of course. And then in terms of project, always thinking on new things. So it could either be, both with Ogun moving it forward and also thinking on new things because as I was telling you, I'm not a person that likes to get a business running and just keep running it. I'm always trying to think what's next. So I don't know. It's difficult for me. I was telling you, I know what I'm going to do in the next 4-8 weeks, but I'm not sure what I'm going to do in the year. But my North Star is always the same: is I want to be doing something that I'm challenged and that it makes sense. So it's bringing value to some people. And that actually, it also to keep me challenged. I know that I need to move topic every certain time.
Yeah. What are the things you keep yourself up to date with, like blog posts, podcasts, newspapers, whatever, books? What are the things you recommend people who are thinking like you or want to explore but your way of thinking?
Well, I like to read some books about right now this thing of behavioral economics. I was telling you, I think it's very, very important. And I always like to read. I'm very conscious about this infoxication we have and the effect of the social media on us only reading things that we like. So I always, in terms of politics, right, like to read the other side always. So I'm following guys that I don't like at all, but just following them to understand their thinking, because I think it's very, we need that. Otherwise, we just get into thinking that what we read is what is the reality, and sometimes it's not like that. Yeah, and then. In terms of, it just changed. I would say, for example, right now I'm very interested on learning. So I'm starting to read a lot about that. And I always like to have one topic I'm very interested of. And as I was saying, I'm just switching that from time to time. But when I get one of those topics, I'm just, okay, I'm going to do a course on that. I'm going to read different articles about it, because then it just keeps myself challenged on a specific thing. No? So to have a wider perspective, but always get one thing and get deeper on that, just deep enough so I'm able to speak with people about it and understand the basics and so on. No? That's what I'm doing. I don't have like a specific, blog post I'm following, and like I was reading for many years a lot about innovation. now I'm reading less and less about that. But I guess, I don't know. I just got to a point where I said, with this, I think with what I'm doing, and of course I keep a little bit updated, but I try not to have too many. So I would say like each month I unsubscribe from 3 or 4 things that I have subscribed for, because when I see that I receive like 10 of those and I haven't read them, I'm just, okay, I'm going to move into another one, because otherwise you cannot concentrate. No, so trying to keep focus. Otherwise, it gets a little bit. I don't get the feeling that I'm progressing. I need to see progress, and the way to see progress is to, okay, I take this topic. It might be just for 2 or 3 months, and that's what I'm doing for 2 or 3 months. Then I might be doing something else. No.
Love that. That's an interesting perspective of a kind of lifelong learning approach, where it's like being interested in a lot of things and go deep into one thing. And if you are not interested or have enough knowledge about that, then you switch to another thought. Really, really cool. So where can people find you? How can people reach out to you?
Well, very easy. Like all of us, we are in LinkedIn. Very easy. Ignasi Salvador. You can find me there. That's I would say that's where you will always find me, because if I'm switching from things, it's easy to lose track. And then, our website is www.ogun.io. It's in there. We're also connected, and that's it. I mean, I think today that's one of the beauties of the life that we are living in, is that if you want to connect with somebody, it's extremely simple. You just look for his name, and I mean, there are not so many Ignasi Salvadors in the world, so you will find me straight away. It's very easy.
Yeah, and I will put as well the book Behavioral Economics and your links as well into the show notes, so people can just click on the link in the show notes and find you very quickly to connect. Cool.
Okay.
Thank you very much for your time, Ignasi. It was a pleasure talking to you.
Thanks to you, Jens. As always, a very nice talk to you too.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Take me to another place where the fairy tales don't end. Magical land, magical land. To another place.